2 months ago, I bought a whole bunch of equipment for my filmmaking endeavors. On the top of the list was the Panasonic Lumix GH3, a mirrorless digital video camera which shoots in 1080p at up to 60 frames per second. So I guess I'm not filmmaking, I'm video making. Of course, this is the internet, so I've got to hook you with a high-speed video clip of a cat named Pickles. A kitty cat. A gorgeous, cute little kitty cat. Pay no attention to the quality of the clips of Pickles, I screwed up the settings, just enjoy the precious little kitty. All of the footage in this video was taken with this camera, and has been lightly color graded unless stated otherwise, like this clip. This is my first real motion capturing device, and it blows my mind every time I use it. Some of the images this thing produces are just beautiful. And that's what film video making is all about, capturing a space and time to immortalize it for all to see. In the weeks before I bought my camera and the necessary equipment to utilize it, I researched and learned a lot about how cameras work, both digital and film. I found out how f-stop, ISO, and shutter speeds all determine exposure when taking both videos and photos. I also began to realize just how expensive making even a half-decent short film can be. My camera wasn't cheap though, and if I had waited until after Christmas to buy it, I would have saved another $100. Black Friday is bullshit! In any case, my GH3 brings some beautiful images to my eyes, so I can't complain about the camera's quality, which is great. It's when I start looking at gear like sound equipment, which I value highly, and the wonderful world of lenses that the price really starts jumping up. Thankfully, I was able to take the lenses from my dad's old Canon T50, an old stills camera from the 80s. That was, and still is, a real film camera, the one in particular I can thank for all the wonderful childhood photos littering the walls of our house. The lens I've been using most from the T50 is the Canon 1.8 50mm, which I have adapted to use with the GH3's Micro Four Thirds mount. The problem I have with this lens isn't the quality of the glass, as every shot in this video is taken with it, and in my mind looks gorgeous when focused and exposed correctly. My problem is that this lens, and the other two zooms I have from the T50, are just too tight with my camera's image sensor. I'm not going to get too deep into the technical explanations here, as I'm going to be making more videos related to my GH3 in the near future. All I mean to say is that I need to get some lenses which have a wider field of view, as the 50mm I've shot everything here with is actually doubled to about 100mm in field of view terms. All that stuff means is that the image you are seeing is very tight and narrow, which makes it tough to get full coverage of subjects without backing up really far away to get everything in the shot. It is really good for close-ups, however. The main reason I bought this camera in the first place is because about 3 months ago, I met two budding filmmakers. Aaron, both a writer and director, who has already written a ton of scripts, which hopefully soon will see the light of day, thanks to my help, and Steven, a producer and writer as well. It probably goes without saying that putting titles on our heads is a bit silly, as we'll be running no-budget productions where everyone will be wearing every hat at any given moment. When it comes down to it, we're all just some young guys in love with movies. The first time I met them, it was a cold morning outside a surprisingly good coffee shop, and I proceeded to have the longest, most in-depth conversation about films I've ever had. We got to know each other quite well that day, and I remember thinking before I met them that if we started talking about movies, and I mentioned Stanley Kubrick only to have them both stare at me with unaware gazes, any faith I would have had in them would be gone in an instant. That sounds pretentious, pessimistic, and pedantic, but if you've listened to the podcast I co-host and link below, or if you've ever heard me speak, you'd know how absolutely obsessed I am with Kubrick, and if the two guys I want to make movies with don't even know the greatest filmmaker who ever lived is, well, you understand. Of course, Aaron and Steven both turned out to be huge fans of Kubrick, of whom we talked about at length that day. I fit into their filmmaking undertakings as the video editor, as I've been cutting my teeth for 4 years using the various Adobe products, and as neither of them have much experience in that regard, I'm glad to say I was welcomed warmly into the team. In addition to being the editor, I'm also the main camera guy, also known as the cinematographer, or even more smug, the director of photography. I always thought the director of photography, or DP, was just someone who took pictures around the set for some reason. Not sure why I thought that. As a film nerd and wannabe creator, meeting these guys has been awesome for me, as in the short amount of time I've spent with them, I already feel like this is what I want to do in life. How amazing is it to know that at my young age? Getting away from sentiment now, all I can say is this camera is going to change my channel quite a bit, and although there will always be a place for all the different worlds games may present in my videos, you should definitely expect to see a whole lot more of the one we live in from now on. As I briefly mentioned a moment ago, I've started an incredibly powerful and insightful podcast with my truly remarkable and hilarious YouTubing buddies, Charlie and Andy. Do check it out if various nonsensical conversations interest you in the slightest. If you're interested for more information on the various shenanigans happening throughout my channel, take a look at my blog linked down in the ether below, and thank you very much for watching.